I want to reframe a little bit of what it means to be masculine, what it means to be a leader. Far too often, in this space, you see the icons of the red pill. They talk about making the money, getting the girls, getting the cars, look maxing, all of this. They always look for things that are exterior to you, and they never speak of the things that is interior, that's inside, the inner work. You know why? Because the inner work is harder to sell. If I could tell you it's easy to make $1 million and all you gotta do is buy my course, that's much easier to sell, right? If I show you clips of me being on a yacht, a rented yacht, a rented car, a lot of people will fall for that. But ask yourself how easy it is, how viable it is really to make that kind of money and to live that kind of life, even if you did wanted that, right? It's extremely hard and the odds is very, very slim. But they make it seem like this is your only option. Unless you become a multi-millionaire, you're pretty much screwed. You can't find happiness. You can't find the love of your life. Almost irrelevant as a man if you don't have that, that pinnacle, peak success. And I find that so funny because a lot of them make their money from conning men like you, right? But they don't tell you. They don't tell you how they really got their money. Somehow it just miraculously appear and they just come, fully loaded, right? But I'll redefine what masculinity is. I'll tell you about two of my closest friends. One friend, his name is Carl. He went through the military with me. He made it to be a JTAC, which in the Air Force is a Joint Terminal Attack Controller. He has a farm out in North Carolina, and he lives a very modest life. After the force, he joined the police in North Carolina, just in Charlotte, and he was making good money. But that wasn't the life that he wanted to lead. He wanted to lead a more humble life where he can connect to nature, be present for his young wife and their two kids. He became a sheep herder instead. And I'm not entirely sure the details because I haven't asked him at any length about it, but I suppose you sort of ride around on your quads herding sheep. And he makes a lot less money than he used to, but it gives him the peace of mind. And let me tell you about this guy. This guy, he's not the biggest guy in the world, but he's the most athletic and he's physically strong. He made it through Air Force Special Forces, marksmanship, all of that, being on 3 tours, Afghanistan, Iraq, you name it. And he's the embodiment of what a man should be because he's kind, he's compassionate, he's humble, and he doesn't brag. You almost have to pull his teeth to get stories out of him because that's just the way he is. So true strength is the internal strength, is that fortitude that I always talk about, is that ability to be dangerous but have control at the same time. Jordan Peterson talked about this. Be as dangerous as you can, but have the control. Instead, a lot of these guys you see online, they advertise how strong and how dominant and how alpha they are. And it's just all this, right? And they put up these videos that are probably scripted and in advance, making them look dominant and brash. But you don't know what they're going through when they're just alone in their head, when they're trying to deal with themselves. I bet to gander that within themselves that they don't have that internal compass, that internal fortitude to deal with some of the unresolved issues that they have. And the reason why I know they have unresolved issues is that if you're really dominant, if you're really confident in yourself, you don't need to go around and flexing and advertising how strong and confident and successful you are. That's relegated to people who are insecure. And I talk about Carl and the achievement that he's made, but yet he's so happy and composed. And if you ask, if you challenge him to a fight or what have you, he'll just be like, no, I'm good, bro. Like, I'm a father. It's not because he can't, and it's not because he lacks the strength to take up that challenge, but it's because he has control and he knows what he can do without overtly displaying it. This is what's missing these days from people. My other friend, same demeanor. His name is Luke. He's a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and he's won countless competition in Europe. He has so many medals and trophies, unbelievable. But he's always reluctant to even post that on his Instagram, to even share that with people, because he doesn't want to come off as being showy, being cocky. And same thing, when we go out, if there's ever any issues in the club, this is when I was a bit younger, when I used to go to the club, he would always pick the peaceful option. He knows what he can do. He knows his capability. He knows his skills. So he doesn't need to prove to a random drunk guy that he can smash them and do whatever, he put them in a pretzel if he wanted to. So this is true masculinity, when you have the strength and the character of will to control that strength. I'm telling you about these two guys not only to give you a different paradigm shift of what masculinity should look like, but I'm telling you because I was honored enough to have these two good friends who pulled me through the hardest times in my life, when I was going through my divorce and my major breakups. They are there and they listen. And what I mean is that you don't need a giant group of friends to confide in. You just need one or two people. And their study have shown that men are very willing to listen to other men. They're very willing to give solid, good advice, and very willing to give the time and the effort. But the problem is, it takes one person to open up first. So the studies show, yes, men are willing to do that, but one person have to be vulnerable first. And when you open up and when you're vulnerable, what you find is that people are much more kind and accommodating than you previously expect. You don't have to go through this alone. You don't have to feel the pain on your own. You could find that friend, call them up, text them right now and say, hey man, you want to go train with me and then, grab something to eat after? Or hey, how you doing? You want to go to the bar? I need to talk. There's no shame in that. There's no shame in admitting you're going through a hard time and laying it out on the table for someone that you trust to help you. And I know you have that. I know you have that, at least one friend like that. And if you don't, I'm sorry, okay? If you don't have a friend, an uncle, or a cousin, or someone like that you can confide in, then DM me, message me. I got a community here, small as it may be, and I will respond to you. I'm not gonna talk in terms of like a coach who knows it all, okay? Because we are learning every single day, all of us. And anyone who tell you otherwise is that I got all the answers for you, right? They're talking out of their ass. Get real, right? You gotta find people who are honest, you gotta find people who are sincere, and you gotta find people who celebrate your victories. Because sometimes you can be in a bad crowd, sometimes you can have friends who want you to stay in a state of misery so that they can feel better about themselves. That's fake friends, right? But find people who want to see you do well, who wants to see you recover, and who wants to help you to build you up again. This is about moving forward. This is about growth. This is about reclaiming who you are, the namesake of my channel. This is about building each other up as brothers. This is not about the blame game. This is not about judgment and looking for every little fault in what other people do, in what women do, and why you are in the situation you're in. Because it's only going to keep you there. And ask yourself, if you are someone who's angry, who's bitter, who's resentful, has those emotions served you lately? other than just coping? Has those emotions actually make you feel like you're a better man? Or has those emotions hindered you from seeking happiness and finding love and success? If the answer is no, be honest with yourself. Then find a tribe who will push you up without pushing anyone else down. Stop wallowing in your misery. Stop wallowing in the past and start living for today and start living for tomorrow, because you are worth it. And society need more men like you. Men who aren't perfect, but who are fighting and who are trying. Don't do this alone. There's a study, a theory is called polyvagal theory by Stephen Porges. It explained that the nervous system finds safety through connection. And we as human beings, we need that connection. We need that interaction with one another. We can't live, no man is an island. We can't live in a solitary life and be content with that. We could live, but we can't thrive. We can survive, but we can't thrive. You want to thrive in life. My challenge for you is this: find someone you trust. Find someone who's honest. Find someone who wants to see you succeed sincerely. Open up to them. Tell them exactly what you're going through. I'm not talking about bleeding on them, but I'm saying someone you trust enough to bleed in front of. Don't call them up at like 3 a.m. in the morning. Don't be an NPC like that. But just ask them if you can arrange a time where you can open up and talk to them one on one, man to man. That's my challenge for you this week. If my message resonate with you, and if you want to join my community, leave a comment, leave a like, and subscribe, and I will respond to you. And I hope you take up my challenge, and I wish you success.